Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shila Gurudev ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Bhagavat Shila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shila Hairas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Say something wrong? Shiksheta Mandala Gora Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun ki jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Gamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Alright, so let me just share my screen. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Nayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhavo Putreti Tanmataya Taravo Bhindus Tang Sarva Bhutta Hridaya Munimanatosmi. Narayanam Namaskritam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Shrinvatang Svakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Sutsatam. Nashta Praeshvabhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. Bhavihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakamaditaraංkamadhe Kripa Maitam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namasti Charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Gargaraji, Ganga Didi, Rup Manjari Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji. I can't now because there isn't time, but yeah, I could sing it later. I also sang this many times during one of our Kartik Vrat programs. No, Chaturmas Vrat programs. And so I can send you recordings for that. We're doing it every few days, every like 3 days or something. Not that I know of, no. Never heard of the Tulsi Kavachi before, Prajumna Prabhu. Alright. Dandavat pranams Indira Mataji, Haribo, everybody. Okay, so the Lord incarnates as Mohinī-Mūrti. We're going to read the full chapter today. And just quickly what we went over the other day. So we read the churning of the milk ocean. We read about the different products that came from the churning of the ocean, like Surabhi cow, Ujjaisrava horse, which Bali Maharaj got, the Airavata, the elephant of Indra, the Kostuba gem, the Parijat flower, the Apsaras, Rama, and so on. Rama, Lakshmi Devi. And we read about the appearance and marriage of Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi's beauty and the various offerings made to her. Lakshmi Devi scrutinizingly examined the demigods and others and rejected them. Then Lakshmi Devi accepted Mukunda as her husband, and then there's a description of the celebration in the universe. The result of Lakshmi Devi's blessings and her neglect. Then the appearance of nectar. Actually, let's read from 28 on. By Lakshmi's blessings, the demigods, the Prajapatis, and their descendants were enriched with good behavior and transcendental qualities. By Lakshmi's neglect, the demons were depressed, bewildered, and frustrated, and became shameless. Then the appearance of nectar. Next appeared Varuni, the lotus-eyed goddess who controls drunkards. With the permission of the Supreme Lord, the demons headed by Bali took possession of this young girl. Varuni means liquor, food of Varuna. On further churning, a strong young man appeared with blackish complexion, long arms, broad chest, conch shell-like neck, shining curly locks of hair, and reddish eyes. He was garlanded, ornamented, and dressed in yellow. He carried a jug filled with nectar. He was Dhanvantari, a portion of Lord Vishnu. He was the master of medical science, and he has a share in fire sacrifices. The demons snatched the nectar from Dhanvantari's hands immediately. Saying that, the demigods became morose and took shelter of Lord Hari. Lord Hari assured the demigods, "Do not be aggrieved. By my own energy, I shall bewilder the demons by creating a quarrel among them, and I shall fulfill your desire." The demons started quarreling among themselves for the first share of nectar, each saying, "Aham purvam," not you. The weaker demons forbade the stronger demons by saying, "Demigods have also taken part in churning in the churning, and according to Dharma, they should also get a share." There's a note here. The first concern of a non-devotee is personal sense gratification. whereas the devotee's first concern is to satisfy the Lord. In this world, since people are non-devotees, they regularly compete, fight, disagree, and war among themselves. Unless they are trained to satisfy the senses of God, there can be no question of peace in any society. The appearance of Mohinī-Mūrti. Lord Vishnu, who can counteract any unfavorable situation, then assumes the form of an extremely beautiful woman, the Mohinī-Mūrti incarnation. She was most pleasing to the mind, with every limb beautifully formed. She had beautiful cheeks, radius, large breasts, thin waist, a face full of youthful luster, restless eyes, and a complexion like that of a blackish lotus. She wore a clean sari and garlands in her hair, and was ornamented with earrings, necklaces, bangles, and ankle bells. Attracted by the aroma of her face and body, bumblebees hummed around her. The movements of her eyebrows, glances, and smiles, with shyness, made the demons saturated with lusty desires. Everyone desired to possess her. The Lord incarnates as Mohinī-Mūrti. This chapter describes how the demons, being enchanted by the beauty of the Mohini form, agreed to hand over the container of nectar to Mohini Devi, who tactfully delivered it to the demigods. Sorry. When the demigods got possession of the container of nectar, an extraordinarily beautiful young woman appeared before them. All the demons became captivated by the young woman's beauty and became attached to her. Now, because the demons were fighting among themselves to possess the nectar, they selected this beautiful woman as a mediator to settle their quarrel. Taking advantage of their weakness in this regard, Mohini, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, got the demons to promise that whatever decision they might give, they would not refuse to accept it. When the demons made this promise, the beautiful woman, Mohinī-Mūrti, had the demigods and demons sit in different lines so that she could distribute the nectar. She knew that the demons were quite unfit to drink the nectar. Therefore, by cheating them, she distributed all to the demigods. When the demons saw this cheating of Mohinī-Mūrti, they remained silent. But one demon, named Rāhu, dressed himself like a demigod and sat down in the line of demigods. He sat beside the sun and the moon. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead understood how Rāhu was cheating, he immediately cut off the demon's head. Rāhu, however, had already tasted the nectar, and therefore, although his head was severed, he remained alive. After the demigods finished drinking the nectar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assumed his own form. Shukadeva Goswami ends this chapter by describing how powerful is the chanting of the holy names, pastimes, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You want to see a picture? Let's see. There's a picture. Let's get the high resolution one. Oops. Tools, size, large. Okay. Here. I'll just zoom in. See? Anyways, we'll get there. Dandavat pranams Madhavi Didi and Rohit Radhakrishnan ji. And Raseshwari Mataji, Haribo. Okay. So. Oops. Text 1. Shishuka uvacha tenonyato surapatram harantastyakta sohrida kshipanto dasudharmana ayanting dadrishu striyam. Shukadeva Goswami said, "Thereafter the demons became inimical toward one another. Throwing and snatching the container of nectar, they gave up their friendly relationship. Meanwhile, they saw a very beautiful young woman coming forward toward them. Aho rupam aho dhama aho asya navam vaya iti tetang abhidrutya paprachur jatahrichaya." Upon seeing the beautiful woman, the demon said, "Alas, how wonderful is her beauty! How wonderful is the luster of her body! And how wonderful the beauty of her youthful age!" Speaking in this way, they quickly approached her, full of lusty desires to enjoy her, and began to inquire from her in many ways. Katvam kanja palak shakshi kuto kim chikirshasi kasyasi vadavamoru mantnati va manangsitna. Oh wonderfully beautiful girl, you have such nice eyes resembling the petals of a lotus flower. Who are you? Where do you come from? What is your purpose in coming here? And to whom do you belong? O you whose thighs are extraordinarily beautiful, our minds are becoming agitated because of seeing you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The demons inquired from the wonderfully beautiful girl, "To whom do you belong?" A woman is supposed to belong to her father before her marriage, to her husband after marriage, and to her grown-up sons in her old age. In regard to this inquiry, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the question, "To whom do you belong?" means, "Whose daughter are you?" Since the demons could understand that the beautiful girl was still unmarried, every one of them desired to marry her. Thus they inquired, "Whose daughter are you?" Navayam tva marer daityai siddha gandharvacharanai nasprishta purvam janimo lokeshaish chakuto nribhi. Of human beings, even the demigods, demons, siddhas, gandharvas, charanas, and the various directors of the universe, the Prajapatis, have never touched you before. It is not that we are unable to understand your identity. Purport. Even the asuras observed the etiquette that no one should be addressed to a married woman with lust. The great analyst Chanakya Pandit says, Matrivat paradareshu. One should consider another's wife to be one's mother. The asuras, the demons, took it for granted that the beautiful young woman, Mohinī-Mūrti, who had arrived before them was certainly not married. Therefore, they assumed that no one in the world, including the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Charanas, and the Siddhas, had ever touched her. The demons knew that the young girl was unmarried, and they dared to address her. They supposed that the young girl, Mohinī-Mūrti, had come there to find a husband among all those present, the Daitas, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on. Nunang tam vidhina subruhu preshitasi sharirinam sarvendriya mana prittim vidatung sagrinena kim. O beautiful girl with beautiful eyebrows, certainly Providence, by his causeless mercy, has sent you to please the senses and minds of all of us. Is this not a fact? Satvam naspardhamananam ekavastu nimanini gyatinam baddhavairanam shangvida sumadhyame. We are now all engaged in enmity among ourselves because of this one subject matter, the container of nectar. Although we have been born in the same family, we are becoming increasingly inimical. O thin-waisted woman, who are so beautiful in your prestigious position. Sorry. Yeah. O thin-waisted woman, who are so beautiful in your prestigious position, we therefore request you to favor us by settling our dispute. Purport. The demons understood that the beautiful woman had attracted the attention of them all. Therefore, they unanimously requested her to become the arbiter to settle their dispute. Vayam Kashyapa Dayada Bhratara Krita Porusha Vibhajasva Yata Nyayam Naiva Bhedo Yata Bhavit. All of us, both demons and demigods, have been born of the same father, Kashyapa, and thus we are related as brothers. But now we are exhibiting our personal prowess in dissension. Therefore, we request you to settle our dispute and divide the nectar equally among us. Etyupa mantrito daityar maya yoshir vapur hari prahasya ruchira pangar nirikshan idamabit. Having thus been requested by the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a beautiful woman, began to smile. Looking at them with attractive feminine gestures, she spoke as follows. Just making sure everything's running okay. Is the rattling sound in the background way too loud? You can let me know. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Katam Kashyapa Dayadha Pungschalyam Mai Sangataha Vishvasam Pandito Jatu Kaminishu Nayatihi. The personality of Godhead, in the form of Mohinī, told the demons, O sons of Kashyapa Muni, I am only a prostitute. How is it that you have so much faith in me? A learned person never puts his faith in a woman. Uh-oh. Sorry. Purport. Chanakya Pandit, the great politician and moral instructor, said, Vishvaso naiva kartavya strishu raja kuleshu cha. Never put your faith in a woman or a politician. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was pretending to be a woman, warned the demons against putting so much faith in her, for she had appeared as an attractive woman, ultimately to cheat them. Indirectly disclosing the purpose for which she had appeared before them, she said to the sons of Kashyapa, How is this? You are all born of a great rishi, yet you're putting your faith in a woman who is loitering here and there, like a prostitute, unprotected by father or husband. Women in general should not be trusted, and what to speak of a woman loitering like a prostitute. The word kamini is significant in this connection. Women, especially beautiful young women, invoke the dormant lusty desires of a man. Therefore, according to Manu Samhita, every woman should be protected either by her husband, by her father, or by her grown sons. Without such protection, a woman will be exploited. Indeed, women like to be exploited by men. As soon as a woman is exploited by a man, she becomes a common prostitute. This is explained by Mohinī-Mūrti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Salabrikanam strinang cha swairinang suradvisha sakyanyahuranityani nutnam vichinvatam. O demons, as monkeys, jackals, and dogs are unsteady in their sexual relationships and want newer and newer friends every day, women who live independently seek new friends daily. Friendship with such a woman is never permanent. This is the opinion of learned scholars. Shishuka Uvacha Itite Shvelitaistasya Ashvasta Manasasura Jahasur Bhava Gambiram dadushchamrita bhajanam. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, after the demons heard the words of Mohinī-Mūrti, who had spoken as if jokingly, they were all very confident. They laughed with gravity, and ultimately, they delivered the container of nectar into her hands. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form of Mohini was certainly not joking, but talking seriously, with gravity. The demons, however, being captivated by Mohinī-Mūrti's bodily features, took her words as a joke and confidently delivered the container of nectar into her hands. Thus, Mohinī-Mūrti resembles Lord Buddha, who appeared Samohaya Suradvisham, to cheat the asuras. The word Suradvisham refers to those who are envious of the demigods or devotees. Sometimes an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cheats the atheists. Thus we see here that although Mohinī-Mūrti was speaking factually to the asuras took her words to be, I don't know how you say this word, facetious. Yeah, this word actually, treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor, flippant, facetious. Indeed, they were so confident of Mohinī-Mūrti's honesty that they immediately delivered the container of nectar into her hands, as if they would allow her to do with the nectar whatever she liked, whether she distributed it, threw it away, or drank it herself without giving it to them. 1 second, I'm gonna drink some water. Tato grihitva amrita bhajanam harir babasha ishat smitasho bhayagira yadyabhyupetang kvacha sadva saduva kritang mayavo vibhaje sudham imam. Thereafter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having taken possession of the container of nectar, smiled slightly and spoke in attractive words. She said, "My dear demons, if you accept whatever I may do, whether honest or dishonest, then I can take responsibility for dividing the nectar among you." Well, that was pretty honest. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot abide by anyone's dictation. Whatever he does is absolute. The demons, of course, were deluded by the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus Mohinī-Mūrti got them to promise that whatever she would do, they would accept. Ityabhivyaharitam tasya akarnya surapungava apramana vidhastasyas tattatetanvamangsata. The chiefs of the demons were very expert in deciding things. Upon hearing the sweet words of Mohinī-Mūrti, they immediately assented. "Yes," they answered, "what you have said is all right." Thus the demons agreed to accept her decision. Ataposhya krasnana hutvachaha vishannalam datva go viprabhutebhya krita swastyayana vijay yato pajosham vasangsi paridhyaya hatanite kusheshu pravishansar pragagreshva vibhushita. The demigods and demons then observed a fast. After bathing, they offered clarified butter and oblations into the fire, and gave charity to the cows and to the Brahmins. I like how they gave charity to the cows. They gave charity to the cows and to the Brahmins and members of the other orders of society, namely the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, who were all rewarded as they deserved. Thereafter, the demigods and demons performed ritualistic ceremonies under the directions of the Brahmins. Then they dressed themselves with new garments according to their own choice, decorated their bodies with ornaments, and sat facing east on seats made of kusha grass. Purport. The Vedas that for every ritualistic ceremony, one must first become clean by bathing either in the water of the Ganges or Yamuna, or in the sea. Then one may perform the ritualistic ceremony and offer clarified butter into the fire. In this verse, the words paridhaya ahatani are especially significant. A sannyasi or a person about to perform a ritualistic ceremony should not dress himself in clothing sewn with a needle. Oh, 1 second. I just need to look at this one message. Okay. Pranmukeshu pavisteshu sureshu ditijeshu cha dhupamodita shalayam jushtayang maladipikay tasyam narendra karborura ushadukula shoni tatala sagati madavi valakshi sakujati kanakanupura Jitena kumbastani kalasapanir vivesha. O king, as the demigods and demons sat facing east in an arena fully decorated with flower garlands and lamps and fragrant with the smoke of incense, that woman, dressed in a most beautiful sari, her ankle bells tinkling, entered the arena, walking very slowly because of her big, low hips. Her eyes were restless due to youthful pride. Her breasts were like water jugs. Her thighs resembled the trunks of elephants, and she carried a water pot in her hand. Tang Shri Sakim Kanaka Kundala Charukarna Nasa Kopola Vadanang Paradevatakyam Samviksha Sammuhur Utsmita Vikshanena Devasura Vigalita Stanapatikantam. Her attractive nose and cheeks and her ears adorned with golden earrings made her face very beautiful. As she moved, her sari's border on her breasts moved slightly aside. When the demigods and demons saw these beautiful features of Mohinī-Mūrti, who was glancing at them and slightly smiling, they were all completely enchanted. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti remarks here that Mohinī-Mūrti is the supreme personality of Godhead, feminine form, and that the goddess of fortune is her associate. This form, assumed by the personality of Godhead, challenged the goddess of fortune. The goddess of fortune is beautiful, but if the Lord accepts the form of a woman, he surpasses the goddess of fortune in beauty. It is not that the goddess of fortune, being female, is the most beautiful. The Lord is so beautiful that he can excel any beautiful goddess of fortune by assuming a female form. Asuram sudadanam sarpanam iva durnayam matva jati nrishanksanam natang vyabhajad achuta. I'm just remembering a verse from the Gandharva Sampradhanashtakam though. How does it go? Oh God, let me try to remember. It says, Tvam indira virala rupa param bhajami. How does it go? Anyways, Srimati Radhika's beauty is even more beautiful than Lakshmi Narayan. Demons are by nature crooked. Demons are by nature crooked like snakes. Therefore, to distribute a share of the nectar to them was not at all feasible, since this would be as dangerous as supplying milk to a snake. Considering this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who never falls down, did not deliver a share of nectar to the demons. Purport. It is said, Krura, Kala Krura, Sarpat Krura, Sarpat Krura Tara Kala. The snake is very crooked and envious, and so also is a person like a demon. Mantro Shadivasha Sarpa Kalakena Nivartyate. One can bring a snake under control with mantras, herbs, and drugs, but an envious and crooked person cannot be brought under control by any means. Considering this logic, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought it unwise to distribute the nectar to the demons. Kalpayitva pratak panktir ubhayesham jagatpati tanks chopa veshayam yasa sveshu chapanktishu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Mohinī-Mūrti, Master of the Universe, arranged separate lines of sitting places and seated the demigods and demons according to their positions. Daityan grihita kalaso vanchayan upasancharai durastan payayam asa jara mrityu harang sudham. Taking the container of nectar in her hands, she first approached the demons, satisfied them with sweet words, and thus cheated them of their share of the nectar. Ministered the nectar to the demigods, who were sitting at a distant place, to make them free from invalidity, old age, and death. Purport. Mohinī-Mūrti, the personality of Godhead, gave the demigods seats at a distance. Then she approached the demons and spoke with them very graciously, so that they thought themselves very fortunate to talk with her. Since Mohinī-Mūrti had seated the demigods at a distant place, the demons thought that the demigods would only get a little of the nectar, and that Mohinī-Mūrti was so pleased with the demons that she would give the demons all the nectar. The words Vanchayan Upasancharai indicates that the Lord's whole policy was to cheat the demons simply by speaking sweet words. The Lord's intention was to distribute the nectar only to the demigods. One second, drinking some more water. So. Sorry. Okay. I'm just in the middle of working out the second part of the documentary of Shivas and Vaijanti. So, Te palayante samayam asura swakritam nripa tushnim asan krita sneha strivya jugupsayam. O king, since the demons had promised to accept whatever the woman did, whether just or unjust, now, to keep this promise, to show their equilibrium, and to save themselves from fighting with a woman, they remained silent. Well, there is quite some self-control there. Tasyam kritat pranaya payakatara bahumanena cha baddha nochu kinchana vipriyam. The demons had developed affection for Mohinī-Mūrti and a kind of faith in her, and they were afraid of disturbing their relationship. Therefore, they showed respect and honor to her words and did not say anything that might disturb their friendship with her. Purport. The demons were so captivated by the tricks and friendly words of Mohinī-Mūrti that although the demigods were served first, the demons were pacified merely by sweet words. The Lord said to the demons, The demigods are very miserly and are excessively anxious to take the nectar first. So let them have it first. Since you are not like them, you can wait a little longer. You are all heroes and are so pleased with me. It is better for you to wait till the demigods drink. Devalinga pratichana Swarbhanur deva sangsadi Pravishta swamamabhibhat apibach Chandrarkabhyam chasuchita. Rahu, the demon who causes eclipses of the sun and the moon, covered himself with the dress of a demigod, and thus entered the assembly of the demigods and drank nectar without being detected by anyone, even by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The moon and the sun, however, because of permanent animosity toward Rahu, understood the situation. Thus, Rahu was detected. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mohinī-Mūrti, was able to bewilder all the demons, but Rahu was so clever that he was not bewildered. Rahu could understand that Mohinī-Mūrti was cheats, and therefore he changed his dress, disguised himself as a demigod, and sat down in the assembly of the demigods. Here one may ask why the Supreme Personality of Godhead could not detect Rahu. The reason is that the Lord wanted to show the effects of drinking nectar. This will be revealed in the following verses. The moon and sun, however, were always alert in regard to Rahu. Thus, when Rahu entered the assembly of the demigods, the moon and sun immediately detected him, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead also became aware of him. Such a strange standard BBT has that they don't ever capitalize moon or sun. Chakrena aksharadharena jahara pibhata shira haristasya kabandastu sudhaya plavito patat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, using his disc, which was sharp like a razor, at once cut off Rahu's head. When Rahu's head was severed from his body, the body, being untouched by the nectar, could not survive. Purport. When the Personality of Godhead, Mohinī-Mūrti, severed Rahu's head from his body, the head remained alive, although the body died. Rahu had been drinking nectar through his mouth, and before the nectar entered his body, his head was cut off. Thus, Rahu's head remained alive, whereas the body died. This wonderful act performed by the Lord was meant to show that the nectar is miraculous ambrosia. Shirastvamaratam nittam ajograhanam achiklipat yastu parvani chandrarkav abhidhavati vairadi. Rahu's head, however, having been touched by the nectar, became immortal. Thus, Lord Brahma accepted Rahu's head as one of the planets. Since Rahu is an eternal enemy of the moon and the sun, he always tries to attack them on the nights of the full moon and the dark moon. Purport. Since Rahu had become immortal, Lord Brahma accepted him as one of the grahas, or planets, like the moon and the sun. Rahu, however, being an eternal enemy of the moon and sun, attacks them periodically during the nights of the full moon and the dark moon. Here, let's see the picture now of Mohinī-Mūrti. Oops, open image new tab. Alright, so there's Mohinī-Mūrti. Rahu's head. And I guess this is the moon god, and this is probably the sun god. I like how calm his face looks there. Pita praye mrite devar bhagavan loka bhavana pashyatam asurendranam swam rupam jagrihe hari. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best friend and well-wisher of the three worlds. Thus, when the demigods had almost finished drinking the nectar, the Lord, in the presence of all the demons, disclosed his original form. Evam suragana samakdeshakala hetvarta karma matayopi phale vikalpa tatramritam suragana palamanjasapur yatpada pankajarajayanam nadataitya. The place, the time, the cause, purpose, the activity, and the ambition were all the same for both the demigods and the demons. But the demigods achieved one result, and the demons another. Because the demigods are over the shelter of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet, they could very easily drink the nectar and get its result. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the result they desired. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 4.11, it is said, Ye yata mang prapadyante tangs tataiva bhajamyaham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Judge who rewards or punishes different persons according to surrender unto his lotus feet. Therefore, it can be actually seen that although karmis and bhaktas may work in the same place, at the same time, with the same energy, and with the same ambition, they achieve different results. The karmis transmigrate through different bodies in the cycle of birth and death, sometimes going upward and sometimes downward, thus suffering the results of their actions in the karma chakra, the cycle of birth and death. The devotees, however, because of fully surrendering at the lotus feet of the Lord, are never baffled in their attempts. Although externally they work almost like the karmis, the devotees go back home, back to Godhead, and achieve success in every effort. The demons or atheists have faith in their own endeavors, but although they work very hard day and night, they cannot get any more than their destiny. The devotees, however, can surpass the reactions of karma and achieve wonderful results, even without effort. It is also said, Phalena parichiyate. One's success or defeat in any activity is understood by its result. There are many karmis in the dress of devotees. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can detect their purpose. The karmis want to use the property of the Lord for their selfish sense gratification, but a devotee endeavors to use the Lord's property for God's service. Therefore, a devotee is always distinct from the karmis, though the karmis may dress like devotees. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yagyartat karmanonyatra loko yang karma bandhana. One who works for Lord Vishnu is free from this material world, and after giving up his body, he goes back home, back to Godhead. A karmi, however, although externally working like a devotee, is entangled in his non-devotional activity. Thus, he suffers the tribulations of material existence. Thus, from the results achieved by the karmis and devotees, one can understand that the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts differently for the karmis and jnanis than for the devotees. One can understand the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts differently from the karmis and jnanis than for the devotees. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita therefore says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. Who desires sense gratification, the jnanis who aspire for the liberation of merging into the existence of the Supreme, and the yogis who seek material success and mystic power are all restless, and ultimately they are baffled. But the devotee who does not expect any personal benefit and whose only ambition is to spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blessed with all the auspicious results of bhakti yoga without hard labor. Yadyujyate suvasukarma mano vachobhir te hatmajadishu nrbistarasat pritaktvat tareva sarbhavati yad kriyate pritaktvat sarvasvatar bhavati mola nishechanam yat. In human society, there are various activities performed for the protection of one's wealth and life by one's words and one's actions, but they are all performed for one's personal or extended sense gratification with reference to the body. All these activities are baffled because of being separate from devotional service. But when the same activities are performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, the beneficial results are distributed to everyone, just as water poured on the root of a tree is distributed throughout the entire tree. Purport. This is the distinction between materialistic activities and activities performed in Krishna consciousness. The entire world is active, and this includes the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the bhaktas. However, all activities except those of the bhaktas, the devotees, end in bafflement and a waste of time and energy. Moghasha mogakarma no moga jnana vichetasaha. If one is not a devotee, his hopes, his activities, and his knowledge are all baffled. A non-devotee works for his personal sense gratification, or for the sense gratification of his family, society, community, or nation. But because such activities are separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are considered asat. The word asat means bad or temporary, and sat means permanent and good. Activities performed for the satisfaction of Krishna are permanent and good, but asat activity, although sometimes celebrated as philanthropy, altruism, nationalism, this ism or that ism, will never produce any permanent result and is therefore all bad. Even a little work done in Krishna consciousness is a permanent asset and is all good because it is done for Krishna, the all-good Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is everyone's friend. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only enjoyer and proprietor of everything. Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Therefore, any activity performed for the Supreme Lord is permanent. As a result of such activities, the performer is immediately recognized. Na chatasman manusheshu kashen me priyakritama. Because of full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is immediately transcendental, although he may superficially appear to be engaged in materialistic activities. The only distinction between materialistic activity and spiritual activity is that material activity is performed only to satisfy one's own senses, whereas spiritual activity is meant to satisfy the transcendental senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By spiritual activity, everyone factually benefits, whereas by materialistic activity, no one benefits, and instead, one becomes entangled in the laws of karma. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 8th canto, 9th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Lord Incarnates as Mohinī-Mūrti. In chapter 10, the battle between the demigods and the demons. Tomorrow we're also reading the full chapter. Chapter 10. We'll read a description of the fierce war, the carriers, commanders, and pairs of fighters, and then Bali Maharaja's attack on the demigods. Lord Hari appears and kills the demons. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. I 100% agree with Rup Manjari here. In my humble opinion, explaining it to any woman or girl is above the pay grade of most of, not all of us. Yeah. Leave it to sadhus who have been asked to explain it by receptive audience. Fully agree with that. Jai Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Rashata Shmad Shala Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shala Gurudev ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Rashata Shmad Shala Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Rashata Shmad Shala Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shala Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupara Rashata Shmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Goksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanantari Shri Gaur Parshad Jai. Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kuni Managanga Tulsi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashaja Krishna Bhakti Pratadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. Pradyumna Prabhu, any books on Janava? Not that I know of, but the book Bhakti Ratnakar by Narahari Chakravarti, he writes a lot about Janava Devi, as far as I know. That is true. Yes, she did. There's a whole description of that in Bhakti Ratnakar. Alright, Dandavat pranams everybody. See you all tomorrow.